sixth decade of life, basically. Right? Because if we're in our 50s, that's our sixth decade, as they say, right? So what advice would you give someone that is going to start this as a 50-something-year-old?
Yeah, that's super easy. Do something every day. You just, again, so many people, they start out and I see these workouts, or I'm going to this gym and I'm going to do these amazing things. And I tell people all the time, go for a walk every day. Every day, go for a walk. 5 minutes and make it 10 minutes and make it 20. When you get up to 30 minutes of going for a walk every day and you say, hey, I want to do something else, do some push-ups, right? You don't have to go full bore. And especially as you're approaching 60, it's a recipe for disaster. If you haven't been staying in good shape, jumping into an intense program, you're going to hurt yourself. And the recovery from that injury is going to take way longer than it would if you were 20 or 30. And then the other thing I tell everybody is track your food. Don't do any diet. If you're doing a diet, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Track your food, and after 2 weeks, look at what you eat and then say, what can I change? And maybe it's one thing,
And it was seriously like, then my daughter graduated from UPenn, and I start seeing the pictures, and a few days later, Bob takes a whole office out and he challenges the whole office. And I had in my mind, I've seen what he done. I said, this guy has the recipe. And when he looked and he said, are you in? And I'm like, hell yeah, man. And you know what? And I'll be honest, it really helps when you have a support network. And I never really understood the magnitude of, like, when you talked, Bob, when you talked about the Body Shred group in the small community at Apex Dental that Bob has, and the group that was put together through the transformation, the value of having other support people, which is where you have been so valuable, is even if you're not giving a doctoral dissertation, you're giving some inspirational words to somebody, you're posting and you're setting the bar.
And then when you're older too, I mean, now this is the real reality of it, right? Father Time is undefeated. So
unfortunately, none of us are getting out alive,
No, so when people say, like, I have to do this and I have to do that. Now there's one thing you have to do. There's only one, and you don't want to do that. Probably not yet. And that's die. So don't say you have to do anything. Figure out what you want to do, why you want to do it, and then go slow. Keep it simple, and make those small changes. If you drink 3 pops a day to say, "Oh, I'm never going to drink it again," that's pretty tough. People can do it, not many. So you got to set something that's realistic, and it's just. And then the last thing I would say, especially as people are getting older, right? Man, have your recovery time. Doesn't mean you don't do anything.
Yeah, so...
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, so the backstory is, we just finished up, I guess a few weeks ago, we finished up the Becoming Undeniable Challenge that Dennis and I put on through Apex Lifestyles, and Larry actually came in number 2. Out of about 100 or so participants, he came in at number 2. And what's interesting is Larry's not a spring chicken.
I'll tell you right now, he must be a spring chicken, because with those abs, I mean, I didn't know if he was photoshopping. He put a 20-year-old's head on top of his shoulders, because when you showed those abs one day, it made me get back to the gym and do some extra sit-ups.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, Larry, you look great, man. And you,
fantastic job, man.
The great thing with what you brought to the challenge is, first of all, you brought consistency. You were persistent. You pushed everybody. And you just, you have a great work ethic. No, first of all, we definitely appreciate you doing it, and you set the tone for the entire group.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, 100% set the tone. I mean, you're a veteran of the shredding variety, but you're also a U.S. Marine, a former U.S. Marine veteran. And a little known fact, Larry is a motorcycle racer. Welcome to the Apex Lifestyles Podcast. I'm your host, Bob GDMD, and here as always with my co-host,
Dennis V. What's going on today, Bob?
Hey, you know what? We got a busy week this week.
This week's crazy, man.
Right?
It's crazy.
This is like our second recording, and it's only Tuesday.
Yeah, and then Saturday, we have a big day Saturday.
We do. What's happening Saturday, man? Tell the people.
Saturday, we are releasing your book, Becoming Undeniable.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well,
I didn't.
that's why I can remind you, we're going to be at the Tadnig Bookseller in Westboro, Massachusetts, from 12 to 3. It's the official release and launch, so if you're in the area, you got to come. It's going to be a great, great day.
It'll be fun, right? And we're going to be getting our autograph hands ready.
Absolutely, ready to go.
But yeah, we have a really cool guest. I've known this guy, I guess, what is it, like maybe 5 years now, something like that. And we went through the trenches, so to speak, right? We did the Nita Strauss body shred. At least, I guess it would be 5 iterations of it that we participated in together. And, at one point I was training for a 5K, and he was sending me these videos of cheetahs running in the background. And there's a backstory. We'll get into the backstory in the show, but it's my pleasure to introduce Larry Tremaglio from Body Shred. He's originally from Pittsburgh. Is that correct, Larry?
State College, Pennsylvania.
State College, okay. And then moved to North Carolina recently, so you get much better weather. And
until the winter storm hits tonight.
Right. Well, we just got one yesterday, so.
Yeah, Larry, we're looking at -5 up here tonight. Maybe a little more a little lighter with the cold winds. So great to have you, man.
Yeah. So
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. So the backstory is, we just finished up. I guess a few weeks ago, we finished up the Becoming Undeniable challenge that Dennis and I put on through Apex Lifestyles, and Larry actually came in number 2. Out of about 100 or so participants, he came in at number 2. And what's interesting is Larry's not a spring chicken.
I'll tell you right now, he must be a spring chicken, because with those abs, I mean, I didn't know if he was photoshopping. He put a 20-year-old's head on top of his shoulders, because when you showed those abs one day, it made me get back to the gym and do some extra sit-ups.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Larry, you look great, man. And
fantastic job, man.
The great thing with what you brought to the challenge is, first of all, you brought consistency. You were persistent. You pushed everybody. And you just, you have a great work ethic. No, first of all, we definitely appreciate you doing it, and you set the tone for the entire group.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, 100% set the tone. I mean, you're a veteran of the shredding variety, but you're also a U.S. Marine, a former U.S. Marine veteran. And a little known fact, Larry is a motorcycle racer.
I was pretty good. So, but you know what? Once I got to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and the guy said, "Listen, trust the car. I'm here." And then I didn't realize that he actually could help out if I was in trouble. And honestly, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. So
yeah, the adrenaline's amazing. It was fun. It was a fun day.
A lot of fun
for sure. But yeah, that was the story, the backstory. When you were doing your laps, Larry's like, "Man, I saw you. It was a little bit you could have tightened up on that. Get a little aggressive line." Better, more of an aggressive line there.
Larry, if you see me driving the regular roads, I was driving at the pace I should be at.
Yeah, right. Right. So let's talk about that, Larry. What brought you into the world of shredding, specifically the body shred, and then again the Becoming Undeniable challenge that we put on? What brought you there?
So actually, it's funny how it really all started is I had a gentleman I worked with, quit smoking, packed on some weight. I maybe did not let that slide very well. And so we were having some fun with that. And he actually said, "I'm not the only one who's put on some weight," kind of poking at me. So we started, we did a summer, and we're like, yeah, we're going to do a challenge. Who can lose the most weight over the summer? And I'm in my 50s at this point, but I'd never stopped working out. So I'm working out, and I wasn't a junk food eater. So I'm like, this is going to be easy. And then halfway through the summer, we weighed in and reconvened and said, okay, whoever gains the least amount of weight, we still declare a winner, because it wasn't going good for either of us.
Yeah.
And so that was right before BS2, Body Shred 2. And so that rolled around, and I'd met Nita at a guitar clinic, right? She's super cool. And it was like, hey, she's into fitness, and it's a 12-week thing. And it could be a fun way to kind of jumpstart my fitness. At the same time, I noticed that summer, I'm putting on those leathers, and they're a little tighter than they had been.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Yeah,
that's
they
funny.
don't have a lot of stretch. So
Dennis and we were talking about this. I don't know. Is it in the book? I don't know if it's in the book. How you make excuse. I used to be like, oh, my clothes shrank in the dryer.
Yeah.
right? They didn't shrink in the dryer, man. Like, like
Yep.
I did we put that in the book?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
I don't,
You did.
Yeah, I
It's
did,
in
yeah.
there. It's in there.
Yeah.
But it's the general conversations we have because Bob challenged me last year in a group, and I lost, I transformed in 70 pounds, and just kind of how you mentioned before, an athlete that just let life get the best of them and didn't keep up, and your eating habits stay the same, and when you don't keep everything else up, things fall apart. But I remember being close to 300 pounds, and you'd go by the mirror and be like, don't look that bad. And then all of a sudden afterwards, when you see the pictures, you're like, oh boy,
Now be clear. Dennis 300 pounds at 6'5".
Yeah.
All right, and I'm 5'9.5", 5'10" on a good day, depending on the shoes. So you can understand that his 300 is not kind of the same as like someone else's 300. You know what I mean? But he still definitely is looking fit and trim, right? He's ready to go on the court today.
But Larry, it's funny. I'd go to the doctors, and he's like, "You're 230." He's like, you'd be making good wide receiver, and then all of a sudden 250. Said you're looking tight end, and then I get the high 290s. Like, listen, you're an offensive lineman right now, but the Patriots don't want you. You got to. And basically, just saying is it's not going to get easier as you get older. But you know what?
What was that thing that he said you were talking about? He's walking away with the recorder.
Oh, Houston.
Yeah,
So I
story. That's a great story.
So I've found out, from I have a really good dentist, and kind of found out, guy sitting across from me, they found out that I have deviated septum. But before that, sleep apnea. So he's calling it in for me to have a sleep test. And he's like, Mr. Finesse is obese. Like every time he said it, it's like when it echoes and echoes and echoes. I'm like, who does this guy think he is? But it really stuck with me. And it was seriously like, then my daughter graduated from UPenn, and I start seeing the pictures. And a few days later, Bob takes a whole office out, and he challenges a whole office. And I had in my mind, I've seen what he done. I said, this guy has the recipe. And when he looked and he said, "Are you in?" And I'm like, hell yeah, man. And you know what? And I'll be honest, it really helps when you have a support network. And I never really understood the magnitude of, like, when you talked, Bob, when you talked about the Body Shred group in the small community at Apex Dental that Bob has, and the group that was put together through the transformation, the value of having other support people, which is where you have been so valuable, is even if you're not giving a doctoral dissertation, you're giving some inspirational words to somebody, you're posting and you're setting the bar. And that inspires you to keep going and say, you know what, can't quit. We got to keep going. So I saw that, and I've seen, obviously, with Bob, and the other side that I think is really impressive is, it's almost 5 years now that you've been consistent and maintained. And Larry, you're living proof of that as well, that you're maintaining that. Now we're all in our 50s, and we want to be the best versions of ourselves and live a healthy lifestyle. So props to everyone, man.
Yeah. And let's get back to Body Shred. So you jumped in for 2, right?
Was
right.
So we're not talking a rider, we're talking a racer.
Yep. The leathers and the knee pucks and all that stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
I hear about this. Where'd you race the motorcycles? I was thinking. See, I half listened sometimes, and I thought you like rode your motorcycle up and down the road, put the wife in the back. You were racing them.
Yeah. So, I rode at tracks throughout the Northeast, ventured down south some. Never scaring anybody other than myself, but it was just a blast. And I had done it way back when I was like 20. And then I actually turned 40. I had the bike, and I was like, I'm just, for my 40th birthday, I'm just going to go to a racetrack, just one day at the racetrack. And then that was in the fall. And then the next spring, I'm like, well, maybe one more. And then it was like 14 or 15 years, pretty steady after that. It's addicting, obviously. It's the adrenaline rush. Sometimes I didn't stick to landings, so that actually played into kind of my fitness routine as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, Dennis, remember when we were in Vegas?
I was just going to say this. Mario Andretti across from me had a great idea. We needed some guy time, and we went to a track to race, and I raced a Huracan, and you raced
a Ferrari. Yeah, I was in a...
And you do your 5 laps, you have somebody with you, And this guy he was on like 2 wheels going around the track.
Well, what you don't know is Larry and I were texting each other when you were doing your lap, and he was like, brother, you got to take those corners a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, you were off the apex pretty far.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. The guy, I took 2 laps with the guy next to me, and he said, listen, can you just punch it? And I'm like, but how that started though, we did a lap before with the
we were in. They took us around in a Carrera, not a Carrera, a Cayenne. Like there was 4 of us in the car, a driver and then 3 other passengers, and he was in this Cayenne. And the body roll on that thing is just, it's an SUV. So, but
Yep.
he was screaming, right? And Dennis turned a little, few shades whiter than he is.
Yeah.
And that was a 12-weeker. And I think 2, 3, 4 were 12 weeks, right? So tell me about I watched you go through the whole time, but the first, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, I kind of started getting out of my shell a little bit. But 1, 2, and 3, I was basically a bystander watching and kind of half-assing my way through it. You know what I mean?
Well,
so tell me about your experience and what you found it to be like.
Yeah. So Body Shred too. So it's like you said, right? It's an incredible group of people, but it was fun because there was information, right? It's the first new health information I'd taken in years. And so through interacting with the group, and you're seeing all these different workouts, and it was a little eye-opening and a little humbling to say, you know what, I was working out like I was 30, I was eating like I was 30, but hey, I'm in my face. And the stuff that worked when I was 30 wasn't working
Totally
when I
different,
was
right?
50. Yeah. You go to the gym and instead of the weights going up, week to week, the weights stay the same, go down a little. And in my mind, this is aging. And I'm just, this is how it is, right? You get weaker as you get older. This is part of the aging process. Nothing I can do about it. All I can do is slow it down as much as I can. Get into Body Shred, right? And then all of a sudden, the nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Eye-opening. Oh,
Huge,
I'm
right?
not eating terrible, but holy smokes, I'm eating enough protein. If I was a 16-year-old girl, I'm taking in enough protein, right? But if I'm a 50-some-year-old man, I'm like, I'm not eating even close.
When I help people kind of clear up their macros, they're almost invariably under eating protein. Almost invariably. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Now think about that as former athletes as we are. Could you imagine being 16 to 25 and you actually ate right? And you weren't going to McDonald's after you
right? Amazing.
You went to the gym and you were eating what we're eating now.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have some serious, because
we'd all be professional athletes in some way.
We hope we would be, but
Right,
but that's the thing is that, like, because if everybody say you got to eat right, eat clean, but what's eat clean or what? So now, as we know this, now you wish you could go back in the time machine and relive those days, because it's like you said, it's so different when you're in your 50s and you're eating right.
Yeah, the recovery is a huge difference, right?
Yep. Yeah, and when it was all done, BS2 was done, and I had lost, and I don't typically weigh myself, so I don't even know what I weigh right now. But for BS2, I did. I just wanted a starting point and ending point. And it was terrible because the starting point was almost 200 pounds. And I'd never been close to 200 pounds. And again, I had never stopped working out, and then finished up like in 173, and it was like, oh, wow, I have abs again. And it was, that, and again, the big reason was the motorcycle, right? I'm going to get on the motorcycle come that next summer. That was the payoff was, force is mass times acceleration.
Yeah.
So pin the throttle on that bike, and now it has 25 less pounds.
That's right. That's
less mass, same amount of force. And literally the big aha, wow, this is amazing, was people who hadn't seen me since the previous summer saying, oh, what'd you do to your bike? Your bike.
Yeah, right.
I mean, boy, the acceleration on your bike.
You put some mods on there, right?
Yeah. What did you do? And then, the simple fact was that motorcycle had not changed one bit from the previous year. It just didn't have to haul 25 extra pounds around.
It's that power to weight ratio thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do want to say one thing about BS2, because you kind of said, oh, I was in the background. And so I'm going to share my earliest memory of Bob.
Oh,
so,
no. Here we go.
Yeah, no. Because
right.
in BS2, you didn't post a bunch of pictures, but you posted your workouts, right?
I did.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing these workouts, and I'm like, this guy, Bob, he is moving some weight.
Yeah.
And you never posted pictures, and that's fine, because, until BS2, I would never take pictures of me and post them online either. But I just that's my earliest memory of you.
Wow.
So before any pictures, seeing the weight and seeing the sets and the reps, like that provided inspiration. Like for me, I don't know for everybody else, but for me, I knew what those weights meant. I knew what the reps meant. And I'm like, this guy's killing it. I don't know what this guy looks like. Don't care what this guy looks like. This guy's killing it. And, I'm seeing that. So when I'm in the gym at 4 a.m., I'm like, man, look at what this guy's doing. I can do this. I can do that. So, don't sell yourself short on, I know you were in the background and I read your book, so I got the whole story now, but
yeah.
But that is my earliest memory. And it's the same way it's the same way now. I go to the gym and it's not a competition. It's an inspiration to see people doing their thing on their journey. There's a woman in her 70s. I see her every morning at the gym almost, and she inspires me, because she comes in and our only interactions have been, I see her struggling, and I go over to see what she's struggling with, and it's to get her Gatorade open, right? So I open her Gatorade for her. But she's over there like on the lap pull machine. I don't know how much weight she's doing, but I'm just like, if this 78-year-old woman can be in here doing this, and you can get your 58-year-old butt up, and you can be in here and doing this.
100%. Yeah.
So, the inspiration comes from, it's not... how do I say? It's just not going to the gym and seeing the huge guys. Like for me, I don't have those gyms, but it's that seeing those other people that are consistent, and then that really drives my consistency too.
Well, Larry, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, but Larry, you mentioned Becoming Undeniable in the book, and we're releasing it this Saturday. What's a takeaway or two you have from the book? Is we're getting ready to pop this out here.
Well, on a personal level, it was great to hear Bob's full story. I had a pretty good chunk of it through the body shred and through some messaging, but to really get the full story on a personal level, that was really cool. It was powerful to read the details and all the behind the scenes stuff. But the other thing was, it's still simple, right? Body, it's an engine, right? You're putting fuel in, you're burning fuel, you're building muscle. The more, bottom line, more muscle you have, the more muscle mass you have, it's easier to lose weight. Getting the nutrition right, making sure, if nothing else, when I talk to people, especially people at work, because I'm like, sometimes I'm looked at as like the fit guy,
the guru, yeah.
Larry, he's the fit guy. I'm like, well, I'm also like the fourth oldest guy in the building.
Yeah,
but okay.
You know what? That's a good thing, though, man.
So
I would embrace that all day long.
But yeah, it's the straightaway is the more muscle mass you have, the better off you're going to be, no matter what. That's never going to be something that's going to hurt you, and especially as you get older. And then the other thing is eating enough protein. Even if I have to go over, like I'll go over on calories. I'm not a super stickler, right? I'm also 58. I want to live my life, but make sure you get the protein, because then that allows all the recovery. So like I was telling you guys, I was in the gym and the weights are going down and down and down. All of a sudden I'm eating right. Oh, yeah. Now the weights are going up.
Now now the gains are coming, right?
Yeah. It's like, wait, I can still add muscle. I don't have to, I'm not going to have to hobble around for a little while any more than I have to from motorcycle wrecks. But even then, the more strength and flexibility I have, those don't affect my lifestyle like they used to.
Larry, I have a good question. I want to start with you, and I want to deflect to Bob after as well. So I did an 8-week transformation challenge, and I did a few afterwards. And I heard that you guys have participated in an 8-week and a 12-week. Now, I know at the end of 8 weeks, I was pretty cooked. And How is it? Can you explain what it's like once you get to 9, 10, 11, 12 in a challenge? Is it pretty tough to get through that?
I think it, it's very personal for me, myself, it doesn't matter the duration for me.
This guy's been to boot camp, remember?
Yeah, I forgot about it.
The 7th week, the 9th week, the 10th week, it's all the same. Unless if I was really, really, really honing in and like, man, I really want to win this and I'm really sacrificing, I think it would be different. But when I do the challenges, like even the undeniable challenge, I mean, it came at a terrible time. It was over Thanksgiving. I had my folks here for 2 weeks. Thanksgiving is my holiday. I do all the cooking, but having that baseline, really, I just, at the last couple of weeks, it's like, hey, let's just tighten up on the calories and get rid of some water weight. And that's all I really did for the challenge, right? For the official challenge. I mean, I did all the stuff along the way. I love the mini challenges.
That was fun, right?
I think that really breaks it up, but
and you
I think that you have to Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, you just have to, I think once you establish the discipline, like discipline is so much better than motivation. Like motivation
100%.
is fleeting.
Yeah.
And once you have the discipline, like I wouldn't imagine, not doing this stuff, right? Because it makes my life so much better.
But you did a peak week too, or a modified peak week anyway.
I did.
Yeah,
that was the first.
So tell us about that. What was that experience like?
It was terrible.
It's horrible, right?
It was horrible.
I like your description was like, so you basically drink a lot of water, then you don't drink a lot of water, try not to die, and then you're done.
Like, that's it. It was terrible. It's the only time I did that. And I did it only, I did it because you did the
lecture,
the Zoom call. Yeah. And I was like, what the heck? I've been around folks that had done bodybuilding shows, so I'd seen that type of prep, and like I told you, I was always the asshole, right? I'm gonna eat my pizza.
Yeah, right. Well, I gotta tell you, in April when we go down to Mohegan afterwards, we're all gonna go to dinner. I'm just gonna I'm gonna have like a big plate of whatever and just take a bite probably because I won't be able to stomach it. But yeah, that'll all happen. Yeah, for sure. And I'm not sure. I know Nate will be there. I'm not sure if Jose is gonna make it down, but Jay Cutler will be in the area too, so they're getting ready for that show too. So. Very cool. But it'll be fun. But you did a peak week and then you ended up clinching the second spot, which is fantastic. And for being an old guy like us, that speaks volumes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And Alejandra won. And I mean, she did an amazing job. I mean, really, like she did, like in 8 weeks, she did an amazing job. And again, she was super inspirational, every day, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing. And again, that just, it's not motivation, it's inspiration. It's like, all right, I'm really sore. Maybe I'll knock a set off. And it's like, come on, or you're here, you're in the gym. Do the last set. You could do the last set.
100%. One of the things that, David from Body Shred, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He happens to be my best friend. And he's the guy who brought me in. And he came in one day to get, normal whatever stuff done here. And he's like, hey, did you see that that guitar player, Nita Strauss, is putting on a body shred competition? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, he told me about it. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Why not? And one of the things he was telling me in the beginning, he's like, no matter how terrible I feel, I always give myself 10 minutes. He goes, give myself 10 minutes. And then usually I end up getting right into it. Yep. If after 10 minutes, I don't feel it, I give myself the permission to quit that day. But I don't know that there's been a single time where I've actually quit.
It's not in the vocabulary.
Yeah,
what's interesting is you say like Alejandro inspirational. When you went to it, I mean, Bob inspired me to get it done. And then you look in a group and you have people in there that have been through it. And, it shows if you put your mind to it, you can do it too. But as you say, just like anything in life, when you're going to school, you're doing your job, you're in the military, you have those gut check moments and you have to get through them. And it is always that much. I'm sure in boot camp, you don't have drill sergeants. I mean, they're really pushing you, but in the game of life and something like this, an emotional journey, having someone there to push you along that inspires you goes a long way. And I've seen that unfold in the last year.
Yeah, let me tell you, Larry, that race that I was training, how was that, like a year or two ago? 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was
right?
2 years ago.
Yeah. So that race was this 5K, right? It's short little distance. Now that I think about it, it's like such a short distance, right? And I'm not much of a runner, but like I had to run in college for crew and things like that. And my now ex-wife has always been a runner, and she always did this 5K. And one of the things is I wanted to go and show up and make sure that I checked the box off and got a win in the win column. And as I was training for that and building, the base to run a 5K, I was running a program and doing the progressive overload that translates right into running. That same thing you would do to put, muscle on. It's the same thing. I was doing that. Larry would send me these little videos of cheetahs like running and chasing down the antelope, With little,
and they always catch them.
Yeah, they always catch them, right? So that was a fun one. That was very, very inspirational. And sometimes when it was getting hard, right? So I would always count on Larry to send me a nice little message to keep me going and keep me focused on. That was awesome.
You inspire someone and you help change a life as somebody's trying to become the best version of themselves. And, as we've learned in life, having a support network goes a lot more. I mean, there's people they'll just do it no matter what, but they're the exception, not the rule. Having a support system put in place it's a recipe for success.
Yeah.
And I think too that one of the things is, so now I have that, right? Because of my wife, right? She's all in. I tease her. She's a squat chick now, right? Get a lot of weight on her back. She's got to do some squats. And that what it not only is, it's not even so much an accountability. It's fun. Like,
oh yeah,
that's one of the things. I mean, there's so many people, especially this time of year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, and I'm listening and I'm like, man, I'm pretty fit. And that doesn't sound fun at all. And of course, it's not fun and it's not sustainable. And I think that, you can sweat and you can be very comfortable being uncomfortable and still it's got to be fun. So like the cheetah videos, I was trying to not just inspire you. I was hoping to lighten the mood a little bit.
100%. Yeah.
Like think
I go
like
in the sometimes I get in the tunnel and then I'm so laser focused on what I'm going to do. Sometimes I need that little comedic relief. And certainly you brought that. So thank you so much, man. Like you've been a very, very, big supporter of mine, throughout the whole time. And I appreciate it more than you know. But
easy. It's easy to be on Team Bob because you're inspirational. I'm telling you, I know it wasn't even BS2. I know seeing pictures of you later and comparing it to the workouts, it was like whoa,
Yeah.
Actually, let's be real. I was like, hey, this guy, he's a big guy, man. He's carrying around a lot of weight. But
that was my secret weapon. In order to move weight, like some of the strongest people in the world are really big guys. And it's kind of funny. I've become acquainted with Jose Raymond, the winner of the 2015 Arnold Classic, in the 212 division. And I was in the gym on Sunday doing legs, and he comes over and he starts poking my quads, right? And he's like, "You got some meat on there, man." It's like all those 400-pound squats every time he stood up and got down. And I'm like, yeah, it's the secret weapon, So he's a funny character. But I'll tell you, one of the things, the first time I ever posted a video or picture of myself, my son is the one who got me to do it. He said, "Dad, you got to show people your deadlift." And he took a video. I don't know if you remember it. I don't remember which body shred it was, but it was a deadlift. We loaded everything up. I think it was just north of 500 pounds. And I went and deadlifted 500 pounds for 3. And then at the end, I just held it there and just kind of, stuck my tongue out like Gene Simmons and then let it drop. And it was like a mic drop. Because I think there was a few people in there that were really proud of doing their, 2.25 or whatever, or, whatever it was. And I'm like, he's like, "Dad, you got to go do it." So that was the first time that I ever actually posted myself online. So I was actually pretty vulnerable, but it was received well. So that was cool, and then it kind of opened the floodgates a little bit.
Well, you've kind of become the godfather of the body shred group, right? You know that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it was not intended. It was actually just intended to make sure that I, fix myself. And if that's what happened, then that's cool. I welcome it, It's very cool. Who knows if we're going to have another one? She was supposed to have done it in January, but it's time's a ticking.
We're going to know in a couple of weeks.
We'll know in a couple of weeks, right? We'll press it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you Body Shred 2, you jumped in, it's 12 weeks, and then you did 3 and 4. Tell me about those.
The other body shreds, I didn't lose anything after BS2. I pretty much maintained, small gains. I used all the stuff I learned, small gains. I knew there was not going to be a big transformation, right? I'm not going to win stuff. And the only reason I kept doing them was because of the community, right?
Yeah, right. That's
that
a big
community was addicting, right? All the positivity, especially in the world today. Just to have a bunch of positive people and everybody cheering each other on. Got to BS4, really pushing it. So of course I had to be like, wow, hey, maybe I can do some stuff again. So we had to tear the meniscus in my left knee.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were going to get there to that story.
Well, I kept going. That was in BS4, and I just kept going. I'm like, it's just pain, right? It is pain. Pain's an old friend. Every day is pain.
Yeah, pain is weakness. Leaving the body. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then what really shut it down was hernia.
Yeah.
I was doing trying to do. I think I was doing sets of 10 with 315 squatting, and hernia, and then coming. So I looked at it as, well, on the bright side, it'll give my knee a chance to rest. Because, of course, you don't go to a doctor. I didn't go to a doctor.
Right.
Yeah, it's just tender. So you get the hernia surgery, right? It's the old school kind, too. It was a good one, right? We're going to cut you open.
Put a mesh in and all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, so it was funny because, I have a problem that if I don't feel pain, I will do stupid things. It's just, I know myself. So no painkillers, and it hurt, but it made me rest. But after 1 week, the doc said, you can walk a little and you can lift no more than 10 pounds, no more than 10 pounds. So 1 week later, Saturday, me and the wife go to the gym, and she's like, I'm going to go to the gym. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And she's, you can't go to the gym. And I'm like, yeah, I can lift 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So there was no physical training effect. But mentally, to take 2 5-pound dumbbells, and I couldn't lay on a bench. Literally, I did, 100 curls, 100 overhead presses, 100 flies. It didn't matter. There was no physical training effect, but just to be able to walk to the end of the street and back, and to get back into that consistency, mentally, that was the biggest thing. It was just mentally, it really helped me recover. And then, of course, realizing after I couldn't do bad things to my knee, it's like, oh, my knee's not getting better, it's getting worse. So better get that checked out. Oh yeah, torn meniscus. So it was like back-to-back surgeries. And again, I was probably 55 at that point. So back-to-back surgeries, there was a little bit of recovery, but what I could, as soon as I could do stuff, I did it. And again, that was, even before the body shred. If I wrecked a motorcycle and I had a broken foot, well, okay, I'll pedal a bicycle. I'll just put my heel on the pedal, right? And then we'll pedal the bike, and we got to do something. So, again, I think that, the body shred just kind of amplified that. Now, after all the surgeries, when I approach 5 and 6, and even now, it's like, all right, I'm 58. Structurally, some things are not going to take certain abuse. And so during the becoming undeniable, right before this challenge, I switched up my workout. I went down to only lifting one body part once a week. So,
that's
chest and tries, and then that's it. And I'm not going to touch those muscles again for a week. And I think that's been huge as I've aged to realize, hey, you need a little more downtime.
Yeah, you need
more downtime.
Remember when you were a kid and you really hit the weights and you thought that the more you did it, the more your muscles would grow, like the hitting the chest 3 times a week. And then when your chest isn't growing, it's caving in. It's not good.
Yeah, right. There's a point where the breakdown is just breakdown at that point,
Yeah,
but
there's probably some Marines that I served with back when I was really young, 20, 21 years old. Some of our weightlifting partners. I've actually thought of this. I remember there was one chest workout we would do, and we did 25 sets of bench press.
Oh my Lord!
You did 5 flat, 5 incline, 5 decline, 5 close grip, 5 reverse grip, 5 sets of each. and pyramided all of them. And then I
Wow.
look back now and think, oh, that's why my shoulders hurt.
I was going
my
to say,
shoulders
how's your
hurt now.
shoulders, man?
Yeah, they're
You
not
know?
good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You don't think you need those joints forever at that point, but
Right. And
No.
no glucosamine is going to fix that either,
No.
but yeah. So Larry, let me ask you, I mean, so you've been through, 5 body, I guess it'd be 5, right? You've been through 5 body shreds. You've been through the Becoming Undeniable challenge as well. You've done well at all of them in differing ways, and you've taken a bunch away. What advice would you give someone as they're entering into their, 6th decade of life, basically? Right? Because if we're in our 50s, that's our 6th decade, as they say, right? So what advice would you give someone that is going to start this as a 50-something-year-old?
Yeah, that's super easy. Do something every day. You just, again, so many people, they start out and I see these workouts, or I'm going to this gym and I'm going to do these amazing things. And I tell people all the time, go for a walk every day. Every day, go for a walk. 5 minutes and make it 10 minutes and make it 20. When you get up to 30 minutes of going for a walk every day and you say, hey, I want to do something else, do some push-ups, right? You don't have to go full bore. And especially as you're approaching 60, it's a recipe for disaster. If you haven't been staying in good shape, jumping into an intense program, you're going to hurt yourself. And the recovery from that injury is going to take way longer than it would if you were 20 or 30. And then the other thing I tell everybody is track your food. Don't do any diet. If you're doing a diet, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Track your food, and after 2 weeks, look at what you eat and then say, what can I change? And maybe it's one thing. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, right? You're drinking a lot of beer. Say, maybe I need to cut back on beer, or I drink pop. I can't drink 3 pops a day. Maybe I can drink 1 pop a day. But to say, I'm going to tomorrow, that's it, full keto, I'm in. It's too much.
It's overwhelming, right?
It is. And then when you're older too, I mean, now this is the real reality of it, right? Father Time is undefeated. So
unfortunately, none of us are getting out alive,
No. So when people say like, I have to do this and I have to do that. Now there's one thing you have to do. There's only one, and you don't want to do that. Probably not yet. And that's die. So don't say you have to do anything. Figure out what you want to do, why you want to do it, and then go slow. Keep it simple. And make those small changes. If you drink 3 pops a day to say, oh, I'm never going to drink it again, that's pretty tough. People can do it, not many. So you got to set something that's realistic. And it's just, and then the last thing I would say, especially as people are getting older, right? Man, have your recovery time. Doesn't mean you don't do anything. So on my cardio mobility days, right? I lift weights 4 days a week, 3 days of cardio mobility. I'm not out doing high impact stuff. I'm on the bike. I'm out walking. I'll allow myself 1 running day a week. Not now, because it's just not running season, but be mindful that, your body, your joints, they're just not going to withstand some of that. It's hard. And from a former athlete, one of my best lifts when I power lifted, one of my best lifts, deadlift. That was my jam. I haven't deadlifted in years. I can't deadlift. My back is shot and it's too risky,
Yeah.
And so it's like there's structural damage there. So I got to give that up. And I tell people, when I hear keep it simple. If you're going to go to a gym, get on the machines. There's no shame in using the machines. There's that stigma, right? If you're a former weightlifter, it's like, oh, I'm not lifting heavy weights. No,
there's plenty of professional bodybuilders that did it all on machines. And
yeah.
And
Larry, another thing, this is tremendous advice. And if something hurts when you're doing it, there's so many other things you can do. Find something different. I mean, I know doing the lateral raise, the front shoulder raises, I feel like a pop every time. Don't do them. It's like there's no reason at our age you're not going to win a competition, and the competition is with yourself all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is great advice for everyone that you need to be healthy, and these are the ways to be healthy. And you rocked it, Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, Dennis, if it makes you feel better, I don't do front raises anymore either. Those kill my shoulder. I had to get. That's another one. Got to give that up.
It's a killer.
Yeah. Well, Nate doesn't have me doing deadlifts either. I do rack pulls now, and that's. But I do have to do the front raise thing. I have to do all of that. Yeah.
Bob, you got a unique circumstance here. You are now in that 1%, right?
Oh.
So, it's like when people will say, "Oh, I'm going to join the gym," and there's this amazing gym. Like, you need to be in the right gym. If you're going to if you're going to go for a bodybuilding competition, you got to be in the right gym. If you're going to power lift, you got to be in the right gym. But again, for 99% of the people, any gym.
For
go
sure.
to the one closest to your house.
But I'll tell you, 5 years ago, I was not training the way I'm training now. So you remember the JFit app that I was using, and I turned you on to that.
Yeah.
And it would tell you how many trucks you lifted and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even look anymore because it's just stupid. Like some of the stuff that and then the thing is, like, I'm the smallest, fattest guy in that gym. You know what I mean? So like. It's kind of it's humbling, but I know I'm in the right spot now, so I get what I got to get done. But
I've seen some pictures. I think you're in the right spot, man. You're killing it.
Yeah,
you are killing
it. Thanks, man. The diet, like I said, the diet for me is always the hardest. The lifting is fun, and it's like a mental release, But I'll tell you, Dennis can tell you, he can see the life kind of sucking out of me. Like this has been. I guess I keep saying 12 weeks out, but that was wishful thinking. You told me the other day, you're like, buddy, it's like 14 weeks out. I was like, it's like,
he likes to keep it simple, stupid. I like to keep it real.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, yeah. So, Dennis, what do you got to leave us with here today?
Larry, you gave so much great advice to everybody, anybody that wants to enter, and just living a healthy life, just take care of yourself. You don't, myself, Atkins, keto, all these things, when you do something like transforming, it's not a diet, it's changing, it's a way of life. And this way of life, I know for the three of us and the many that we've seen, Bob and Larry, the people you've inspired, is people are living a much better life, and they'll be and you'll be much healthier as you move on. So Larry, keep grinding. Appreciate it. Glad that we've connected, and I know we'll continue to connect on the undeniable journey.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and it's been great. I love the transformation challenge you guys ran. That was I really liked it. It was just fun. I mean, it really was.
It was a fun one. Yeah,
it was a fun one.
We had been through a bunch, actually you and me, Larry, we've been through a bunch together, and I thought, there was a lot of good stuff that happened in those, and there's some things that we could do, I think, that brought a different aspect to it, and I think it was kind of fun that way.
For sure.
And, and I too like the mini challenges, and I know Dennis liked watching and picking who was the winners, and that was really fun. And
just real quick, and then Bob, what I love about it is they are mini challenges. I'm very big in goal setting, small, long-term goals. They give you those mini accomplishments along the way to give yourself the attaboy as you're going for that goal that takes a long time to get there. And it builds morale. They're really cool.
Yeah. Well, Larry, you have been by my side you've witnessed all of this, man. And I greatly appreciate all of it, and more than you probably know. And, I appreciate all of what you did in coming through with the challenge and kind of leading the path in that. You were just like, you were an old pro in there, like a veteran as you are, and you led the charge, and you were an inspiration to a lot of people in there. And I see a lot of those people, come to my practice. A lot of people from all over the world, actually, and they'll message me all the time. They're like, "Who's that Larry guy?" or whatever, and seems like you guys know each other or whatever. And but yeah, you're a big inspiration, and thank you so much for coming to the challenge and participating and being a good steward of personal health, fitness, and all of that. Very, very appreciate it. And I appreciate the relationship that you and I have fostered over the years through this. And hopefully we can participate in another body shred challenge coming up soon. That'll be fun, and I'm sure there'll be another becoming undeniable challenge in the future, and we'd love to have you on board. But again, Larry, my shred brother, it's time to end it. And Dennis, what do you think, man?
It's not just time, it's go time.
It's go time.